Hello and welcome to Chapter 135 of the DC Alliance podcast. With me this week is Joe, the host of A Walk Through the Multiverse on the GUA Podcast Network. Joe, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good, Travis. It's been a hectic. Well, I don't say hectic day at work. Busy yet went by quick because I was
Yeah.
watching a ton of things today. Normally I listen to podcasts, and I've gone through like phases. It's actually been a long time since I've gone through a not listen to podcast phase and just watch stuff phase.
Ooh.
But the job I am currently on at work, I have the ability to watch things, so I'm going to take advantage of it while I can because I'm only going to be on that job for a few more weeks until the lady I'm covering comes back. So,
You may as well get paid to watch shows, Joe, while you
oh yeah,
can.
no, I do.
That,
Trust
that,
me, I
that,
do.
you enjoy that perk as long as you possibly can. That's pretty awesome. Myself,
How are you doing? Yeah,
pretty good. The Queen Day we had today, I guess that's what I'm going to call it. We
Green
were
Day.
off. We were off today.
I did see a fun thing, and you know how Simpsons always predicts everything. Apparently, in
2022. Yeah. So
2014 they predicted that she would die in 2022. So
it's a little scary, just a little scary.
Simpsons. I don't know what Matt Groening is smoking, but
Clay isn't with us here today. He's having some life-changing things going on.
yes,
So congratulations to Clay and
yep, he's
his
having his leg
wife.
amputated. It
Yep.
sucks,
It's,
but
it's, it's
it's gonna make him run quicker. I got
uh,
nothing. I got nothing with that.
run quicker at the end. I'm like, oh my god, bail out while you
Nope,
can.
nope. I'd like to dig myself graves and then like trip in them. Like I don't ever fall in them. I just trip over them and then just dig another one.
But we will forge on ahead, Joe.
Yes,
We have
yeah. I will. Congratulations to Clay. He became a dad. He
yes,
announced it on
he's
Twitter
already
today.
he's said
So
it multiple times on this show. He's
yes,
talked about last week. I think he talked about the break that he was going to have when this
Mhm.
happened. So it happened a little quicker than he planned, but
I do
uh,
think he's still planning on coming back next week. I'm not 100% sure on that one. I don't know if he'll be able to because look,
that
you
was
got
the
a brand new
plan.
baby, my dude.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
plan. That was planned before pre-baby coming. So
yeah,
I think he'll be on his
things could
break. He's
things
just
could
taking
easily change.
extra time on his break there. But
Yes.
congratulations to Clay and Abby there. I guess if we're in the as one DC host ends it, I guess also because a listener had wrote me and caught a couple weeks ago, I accidentally kind of let it slip out that I was in the same boat. So yeah,
That's on you, my dude.
I don't even know exactly what I said, but shout out to John on Twitter.
Yes, Hazleton. Yep, I
John
like. He's
Hazelton,
a good guy.
he caught it immediately on Superhero Discussions, not on DC Alliance, but yeah. So myself and my girlfriend are expecting, if not until the new year. So you won't get constant updates from me or anything like that. You'll probably see a picture when everything's done, all said and done. But yeah, fun, exciting news. So
Yeah.
as one DC Alliance host journey starting, and that mine's just beginning as well. So
Don't worry.
yeah.
When you go on your break, I'll cover for you too.
Oh, I I'm like the Wolf of Wall Street, Leo, when they're at the very when they're going to take him out, and he's like, "I'm not effing going anywhere." That's basically me. Like,
Good luck with that.
ah!
Yeah. Okay. I like the attitude that both you youngins have of like,
No, one
oh
of the
yeah, these
youngins
kids aren't
hosted.
gonna do nothing to me. It's fine.
I don't host 4 shows, 5 shows. I
I
only have
didn't
the
say
two,
that.
and one of them I can make a decision to end at time. Then it
True.
will be a
True. True.
Ranger
True.
Alliance takeover. Yeah, as I said, I am like the Wolf of Wall Street, not going anywhere.
I mean, you're not wrong, Clay. Congratulations again, buddy.
Yeah, so Joe, we have a jam-packed episode. Let's get into it. We have
Yes.
Zaslav playing to sell WB, maybe to Comcast. We have another Stargirl episode to discuss. A DC TV crossover that nobody has seen coming, that came out of left field for me. And we have our Smallville retro reviews, episode 10, Shimmer, which very enjoyable for me. There's a couple aspects I can't wait to talk about with you.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into all that, we have to do the network plugs. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance with 8 shows in total. On Mondays is Ranger Alliance with Clay and rotating guest hosts of Jake and Joe. They get you covered on the Power Ranger side of things, the movies, the comics, the TV shows, and everything in between. On Tuesday, well, no, sorry, not Tuesday. that rotates bi-weekly with Slice of Film with Katie and guest host Mark and Sarah. They get you covered on the movie side of things, new movies, old movies. They're also looking at, let's say this, movie quality TV shows, I will say, like House of Dragons. Katie has review episodes for every House of Dragon episode, so check those out. Those drop on Mondays. On Tuesdays is this show, DC Alliance, with myself and Clay. We get you covered on DC side of things, movies, comics, TV shows, chaos lately. But it's been a fun ride, riding that wave of will it be canceled? Will it not be canceled? Rebooting, restarting, no, restructuring. Oh my God, what's going on? Is there a sale on that? So yeah, I've just been riding the wave and enjoying it because we've had some good content. In the meantime, we have a new movie, Joe, coming out in about a month from now. Exactly a month from now, a month on Friday. So 4 weeks from Friday, we will have a new movie, or well, Thursday, for DC, Black Adam. I'm super excited to check that out. On Wednesdays is Superhero Discussions, my show that looks at animated content. We were doing double dips Wednesdays and the weekend, but Harley Quinn is over now. I want to make a special thanks to Joe for joining me on almost 9 of the 10 Harley Quinn review episodes, and for the finale. And I also want to thank Lauren. She was fantastic joining me to talk about the finale, but also the Save Legends campaign. And you can check Lauren out on her Simply Amazing podcast, where she looks at Nightcrawler comics, and also her Your Friendly Neighborhood comic show, where she goes live with guests talking about pretty much anything in their world. So it's a fun show. So check that out. Thank you, Lauren, for joining me.
Clay drops in the chat here that this week's Rage Alliance that we were talking about earlier off mic will be falling sometime in October, and then the show will be back in November. So thank you, Clay.
Okay. So thank you for the update, Clay. Yep. So on Thursdays is Star Wars Alliance with Katie and Clay. They cover on the Star Wars side of things, movies, TV shows, and Andor's coming out in a couple days. So check those guys out for your reviews on all things Star Wars. On Fridays is Marvel Alliance with Chris and Brent. They get covered on the Marvel side of things with comics, TV shows, movies, everything coherent, making all perfect sense, all structured. Not jealous at all, Joe.
No, can't tell.
Can't tell at all that I host a DC podcast and everything isn't structured right now. But check those guys out. They're in the middle of She-Hulk, and it's a fantastic show, and they do great work reviewing the episodes. I can't wait for the episode coming out this Thursday, Joe. I've been loving this show, and it's really hilarious that a simple twerking at the end credit scene can cause so many people to get so mad.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's not the only thing. There's a lot of stuff that they're getting mad. Yeah. They're nitpicking at this moment.
At everything, yeah. But anyway, check those guys out for the breakdowns on that show. On Saturdays, bi-weekly, is a walk through the multiverse with Joe. That's where Joe looks at everything that isn't DC, Star Wars, and Marvel. Joe, what's on the docket? You obviously reviewed Paper Girls, but that dropped this past week. But correct. What is out next for you?
So currently, I think what I'm going to do next will be covering Resident Evil over on Netflix. We talked about, I think on maybe the Paper Girls episode or episode prior, I talked about how it got canceled. So it sucks, but now I'll see why it got canceled.
They're doing the voice recordings for Invincible season 3. Nah,
that's way to drop my news. What the heck?
Oh, come on!
But no, that is exciting. I'll talk about that on the next episode. But it's gonna be Resident Evil for that, and then I think Resident Alien is gonna be ending part 2 of season 2 here soon. So I'll talk about that probably the episode after.
Okay, sounds pretty interesting.
I know what I'm doing. It's just
you got a lot of stuff that you can cover. It's crazy. I remember being like, "What can Joe cover?" We got all the big 3.
Remember when you first came on? Now I'm like, "Well, I gotta do this."
I was like, "Oh my God, Joe! There's like so many things to cover."
Yeah.
But we also have on Sundays World's Finest True Believers with Chris Balga. That's where Chris and a guest talk about comic of the guest choice. Chris was joined most recently by Brian Lauer from Batman Book Club to talk about Captain America White. So check that out. That's a great discussion. That show goes monthly on Sundays. DC Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Marvel Alliance, Star Wars Alliance goes live Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and Marvel Alliance goes live Thursdays at 9-10 p.m. Eastern Time. All 3 of those shows also have their own podcast feed. Search Marvel Alliance, DC Alliance, or Star Wars Alliance if you just want Marvel content, DC content, or Star Wars content. But if you want all 8 shows, stay subscribed to the Geek Ultimate Alliance on your podcast app of choice. We also have the Patreon, Joe, 2 tiers, a $1 tier and a $5 tier. The $1 tier is basically a tip jar. You like what we're doing and you want to help us out any way you can. And the $5 tier is where you get your extras. You get your ad-free episodes, early access to episodes, and Patreon exclusive episodes. Myself and Joe, sometime later this week, are going to record our thoughts on Superman 2, the movie with Christopher Reeves. I'm excited about that. Superhero discussions will go up early, 2 days for patrons. That'll go up tonight. Covering Rick and Morty. Joe joined me for that as well. We also have the Marvel Alliance going through the MCU. We can watch this all day. I think that's what it's called. So check that out. I think a new one's going to be dropping maybe this week, maybe next week, somewhere in the next 2 weeks for sure. I know that before the end of the month. So that's the place to be for Patreon. We also have Clay doing his watching through shows for the first time. Right now it's Game of Thrones, aka
he might be taking I think he's gonna be taking a
little break from that. Little break from that.
Yeah.
A little bit break. Still got a little note. There are some episodes on the catalog, Joe, the backlog that they can go through if they become a patron. So got to keep them in the loop on that. They also have Katie doing Star Wars comics with her husband. We also have Joe's Multiverse Minutes and my top 5s. So we thank everyone that's a patron. It's greatly appreciated. But if you can't be a patron, if you can take a quick 30 to 60 seconds to rate and review the podcast on your podcast app of choice, it's just something that helps us be found in the algorithm. More people find the show and more people listen, and that's always a good thing. Joe, also one other final thing. Thank you to anyone that took the time to fill out the GUA survey.
Yes.
It ends tonight, I think. So, big thank you for that. You took a little bit of time out there.
Saturday. Whatever. Yeah, it's the survey is out there. If you got a chance to cover it, to look over it and fill it out, we greatly appreciate it. From the bottom of our hearts. We want to put on the best shows possible for you guys, and we need your feedback so that we can put on the best shows possible for you guys.
Yeah, exactly, Joe.
So I do want to point out real quick because we were talking about this off mic. My Multiverse Minutes, I'm going to be doing in October a daily. It's going to be called Multiverse Minutes, 30 plus days of Halloween. I'm going to be talking about a Halloween movie or a horror movie from September 25th all the way to Halloween, October 31st. A movie a day. Just quick thoughts, 10, 20 minutes long, give or take, on movies that are coming out. We're going to be talking about series. I'm going to talk about one-offs. I'm having fun with it because I love horror movies. So if you guys want to go, $5 level over at the Patreon, you can hear basically a whole month's worth of content, in October.
Joe, like you told me off air, that sounds super interesting. I would totally do that. Like you've already told me that some of the ones that you're going to do, maybe even have done already. And yeah, that's like all I can say is I love a love-hate relationship with horror movies because they really scare the bejesus out of me after watching them. But still, I don't know how I end up always watching them, but I do.
It's one of those things where I couldn't watch it when I was younger. So, like, my parents raised in a very conservative house. We couldn't watch. I remember when I can't remember what grade, went to a friend's house and watched Children of the Corn 2 at a birthday party. And I didn't get to finish the movie because my mom came and picked me up. So
oh my God.
That sucked. I think I finished it when I got older. I don't know. I can't remember. But like my first real horror movie that I remember watching start to finish was when I was 18. I'd go rent it myself. So
yeah, there was something that I watched that really, like I said, Dream Warriors, the Nightmare on Elm Street. My God, that scared me growing up. I couldn't, especially because you think when kids learn like abilities and that they would be more formidable. That's what I thought. Was like, you're going to learn how to access your dream power. And you're going to defeat Freddy. No. But only one kid survives. The rest are dead. Even though they know their powers.
Four of them survived.
I was just saying, a lot of them died, even though they could access their dream powers. That did nothing to stop Freddy. So I was like, oh my God, I can't sleep. I got to sleep next to Mom. Mom will save me. So yeah, big mama's boy back then in grade 3. I was like, save me, Mom. So still really interesting, Joe. And like I said, we thank everyone that's a patron. And if you can't, just listening to shows, everything helps us out. Joe, we have a pretty filled episode this week, and I'm excited to talk about some things. Let's get right into it with opening of Joker 2. Rumor reveals Lady Gaga's role in sequel.
Yeah.
So, Joe, according to the rumor from the Hot Scoop or Shot of Poop segment in the Weekly Planet podcast, the sequel to Todd Phillips' Joker 1 will be told from Harley Quinn's perspective, performed by Lady Gaga. The podcast host said he has a very reliable source saying Joker 2 isn't so much a Joker movie. Apparently, Joker 2 isn't so much a Joker movie, it's a Harley Quinn. It's from Harley Quinn's perspective. And it's the reason it's a musical is because that's how she perceives her relationship with Joker, like a romantic musical. The co-host asked, and Buddy said exactly. So, what do you think? What do you think about that idea of having Harley be the perspective here? Which
I'll say this already. I was iffy on Joker getting a sequel because the way the movie started and ended, it wrapped up its story. It was, and even that, like, I know was it real? Was it not? Was it all in his head? Who knows? Fine. I'm interested to see where they decide to go with this sequel, what they're trying to do. The musical aspect, I love musicals. I'm fine with it. Lady Gaga, I like her. She has become, her acting prowess has just like exploded over the years. She's been the few shows I've seen her in. Like there was when my girlfriend was watching American Horror Story, and those 2 seasons that she was in it. Like I sat and watched a few of it with her, and I'm just like, this Lady Gaga, like she's good. Like and I'm not saying any singer can't be a good actress, but it's some of them don't have that talent. She's one of them. So I also just don't understand why it's called the Joker though. Like if it's gonna be, I get that it's attached and it's part of that world, and obviously, Joker got $1 billion, so of course they're gonna tack the Joker title on it. But I also feel like maybe they could say it's, Lady. You could say it's Harley Quinn, but then again, you might confuse people because you can't have 2 Harley Quinns in the same universe.
You can, but not in the same universe. You can't. But anyway, I think I think that is.
I'm looking forward to it. Regardless, I'm looking forward to it.
You got to call it Joker 2 regardless because of the $1 billion connotation behind Joker 1. I'm here for this. This is an interesting way to do this. I didn't know how we could get a sequel from what we watched and where they had the characters positioned. So to see it from her point of view will be interesting. To see him show up and see them have an encounter, I would be here for it, Joe. I don't know how, how it would really work. Well, musical wise, but with Joaquin, he did the Johnny Cash thing, didn't he?
Yeah.
Walk the Line or something.
Not Walk Hard. Walk Hard is Dewey Cox Story.
Dewey Cox Story. Yeah. I'm glad. I think I got the right one.
Yeah, Walk the Line. One. You Walk the Line.
Yeah. So maybe you could go that route, but like I said, Gaga is a megastar, so she's going to bring people into this film, and just the base that it had before. I don't know. Do you think we could see if it's just in Arkham? I don't know if we'll see any Bruce Wayne. Like, will this be set immediately after the events of Joker, or will it be years after Joker? There's no indication of what they're going with that.
But like Bruce Wayne was a small element of the Joker movie to begin with, So like we don't need to have him. Does he need to be in this one? No. Will he be in this one? Probably, because they have to have a Bruce Wayne or a Batman. Like they can't have a character tied to the Batman and not have him appear in some aspect, which I think is stupid. But
yeah, I thought the whole coming to see Bruce was right out of left field. It was really weird meeting him at the gate in this film, in the first film.
Yeah, well, because he was there to see his dad.
Which would line up more, but what you said too, got to have him in there, regardless of how much it makes
Yeah,
perfect
and I mean,
sense.
it'd be no different than they may not show him, but he is off. They'll talk about him on the news uh, channel saying how billionaire Bruce Wayne is off overseas at school or something.
Yeah. Okay, Joe. So before we get into the next topic, we'll take an ad break. Listeners, we're an ad-supported network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Joe. Let's get into this. One of our main topics of today. DC shocks fans pretty much, coming off the heels of a damning THR article. Constantine is in development. With a new report from Deadline, it's been confirmed that Warner Brothers is developing a sequel to Constantine. Yes, that very same movie from 2005 that I haven't seen yet, and myself and Joe will be reviewing for DC Films Through the Years for our patrons.
You haven't seen that one?
I've maybe seen part of it. Like, I don't really remember it. It's been so long, I don't remember it.
That's fair.
I know I can confidently say I've never seen V for Vendetta, but I think I saw maybe part of this on cable.
Which they came out in the same year, which, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, I love this movie when it came out. It was not one that I watched a lot, but I enjoyed it enough because it was a character that I barely knew. But I like Keanu Reeves, so I'm like, oh, I'll watch it. Okay, cool. And I think this helps the situation where it's Keanu Reeves, and he has had a resurgence in the last, 5-10 years with John Wick and all that. So, like, strike while the iron's hot, man. Good call on having this come out.
This came out in 2005?
The first one, yeah.
Yeah, so...
by the time this sequel would actually come out, it would have been 20 years.
In this...
Because I don't think it's coming out in 2024.
When this film, V for Vendetta, came out, a 17-year-old Travis was trying to see if he could get 10 kids to go up to the rink to play ball hockey.
I was really worried where that story was going.
I was 17.
I'm glad you said you go to the ice hockey rink.
I was 16, and it was
that's even worse.
And we didn't have any ice on the rink, so it was just playing ball hockey. But yeah, that was my extent of and we had like 24 channels. So yeah, I wasn't seeing.
That's still more than I had when I was 17.
And our only movie theater was 3 hours away, and I didn't have a driver's license at that point in time. So yeah, it was tough times for Travis being hip or with the times. I didn't. This movie went right by me. This movie went right by me, Joe.
Yeah,
but I
sound like me, an old man. Jesus.
This also seems like it was part and parcel to avoid the negative press that came with the THR, because I'm sure there's a gigantic list somewhere that somebody has of all the DC projects in development. I'm still waiting for my Nightwing movie that was in development. So, Joe, this is a song and dance we've heard many a times about things being in development. Not only will Keanu Reeves come back, but Francis Lawrence will be returning. Akiva Goldsmith is set to write the screenplay and produce via his own Wii Road Pictures. And joining him in producing capacity will be Bad Robot's J.J. Abrams, which is very funny to me because at this exact same time that this was announced, Constantine and Madame Xanadu was passed on by HBO Max.
Yeah.
And J.J. Abrams is still a EP on this Constantine.
But it makes me wonder, was this the Constantine he had in mind from the get-go?
No,
because he had that one actor. That's right.
They're still shopping Constantine and Madame Xanadu for other streaming services, which seems to be the play for WBD.
Well, I don't like the fact, and I I made this joke in the GUA chat about how, because Clay was going on one of his rants about Zazoff not doing everything right, and I made the comment of like, well, no, they have a 10-year plan. In 10 years, after every single property has been shipped out, a la Marvel back in the 1990s, in 10 years, it'll finally come back to HBO and under the WB, banner. I don't know what their thought process is on this. I understand that they still have the rights. They will be able to say, oh yeah, we'll Amazon can put out these two shows, and we're fine with that. Why? You have the model with HBO Max. You have the format. Why are you burying yourself? Like, what are you doing?
Can I answer that? I think that nothing has been since Zaslav has taken over. No new films have been announced that are connected to the greater DCEU.
Which fine,
So
but
this can be announced and exist on its own thing. Whereas if you got the new Constantine Madame Xanadu shows on HBO Max, you'd always get people asking, "Is this part of DCEU? Is this connected?" So
you could
this
easily
way,
say that this Constantine 2 is connected if you
you
really want
can,
to.
but you don't have to. Like this can have his
And
own,
you
he can have his own adventure on his own Earth. You don't have to worry
sure.
about anything. You don't have to worry about continuity timelines. If you're planning on selling DCWB in a couple years, I know it will be far more attractive if there isn't a slate of 7 movies like in production or pre-production.
But we've already seen that they
If
could
the board was
easily just
clean.
but we've already seen they could easily just cancel those movies
No,
if they
not
wanted
all of
to.
them. Not
Not
all of
all of
them.
them,
No, only
but they
those
could
other
cancel
ones were
some if they
gone
wanted to.
past most of them were gone past the point of that. Batgirl was
Really?
a cheap,
Because
yeah.
Batgirl was right there at the end. It
Batgirl
was
was
done.
Batgirl was a cheaper
I
version for
I get
HBO
that.
Max. It was not to make a big load of money, and
No, I get
that's
that.
why they
But
cut it out.
they could easily just like, oh, that Wonder Woman movie we have planned, that third Wonder Woman movie that we have planned. Well, we haven't started planning. Like nothing has come about it yet. Let's just not do that.
Well, that right now it doesn't. It's not on the board, so it might not. They
But
just
but
might
that's the
not
thing.
do it.
Like they talked about it after Wonder Woman 84, saying, yeah, we've already have plans for the third and final movie. And you're right. We haven't seen jack from it. They do not talk about that third one, which
I
makes
can't
me
remember the
think
last time I heard someone say anything about the
exactly.
third
I
one.
think
Not, I haven't
they've
heard
already
this new
canned it. They just haven't
regime.
announced it.
I haven't heard this new regime say anything other than Wonder Woman is an important character, but not anything about the third film. But like I said, nothing DCEU has been announced. So maybe they're waiting for this to finish and do a full reset. That is a possibility, a full reboot.
I think, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think they should. I think they just need to.
That
wipe
would
the
be
slate.
a far more appealing when we get into our next topic.
Yes,
That'll be far more
because then
appealing
they'll
setup
be
for
able to
people.
just start
Yeah.
fresh.
No,
And
I do have a
right
thought
from
about
there.
that as well. We'll get into that
Yes, we
in
will.
just a little bit. But yeah, so I'm really excited to see Keanu Reeves. I think it's a smart play because, like you said earlier, Keanu is hot right now with the John Wick movies. If you can get one of those people to run the stunts too, you can get pretty cool. And Constantine's always someone you can do a bit lower budget film, and people are going to flock for Keanu in this role.
They'll flock for Keanu. Constantine has grown as a character to where he's a likable character over the last couple of years since he hit Legends of Tomorrow. I think he's definitely grown in popularity.
Correct.
Which sucks because his show on NBC was amazing.
Really good. 6 episodes, I think that was.
No, it was 13.
They
hit 13.
No, one season, right?
Yeah, like they got canceled after 13 episodes. Which
I think
sucks.
Did they find out in the 6th? I don't know why 6th episode is so special to me, but
I think they found out somewhere before 10. Yeah,
I think it might have been the 6th episode because I think that's what I saw in an interview. Because the 6th was jumping out.
6 stands out to you.
Yeah,
and he, I mean, obviously it worked out. Matt Ryan was a great Constantine. He, jumped onto Arrow for a couple episodes. He did the crossover. He was in the animated movies that came out for the New 52 animated stuff. Yeah. Like he embodied the Constantine character, and no one could take that from him.
Exactly, 100%. He will forever be etched there. He's had so many different animated stints as Constantine as well. So yeah, like I don't want to see people really mad about that because also you could have did the same thing when Keanu had it first and then Matt Ryan took over. So
yeah,
it comes around.
Would I have loved to see Matt Ryan continue on as Constantine?
Same,
I would have.
same.
But
I think
then we get people doing too like, oh, but Legends, and is that part of the continuity? Like the problem comes that they themselves are pushing, and you guys have said this in the past episodes, they're pushing a multiverse, but they're not actually promoting a multiverse.
Yeah. They're like, it's their solution if there's a problem. You want to do something, but you can't right now because it's
Yeah, they
already
won't let you.
pre-existing.
Like,
It's, there's a multiverse, so you could do it, but anything in development isn't getting off the ground. Like I said, there's nothing that's been announced that doesn't exist on its own. Batman 2 exists in its own universe as well as it shows.
yeah,
Joker 2 exists in its own universe. This
this
thing here
one,
can't constantly right now exists in its own universe. Doesn't have to exist in the greater DCU. And right now, after Aquaman, I think is the end of DCU films that are.
Well, I mean,
No, Blue
Shazam
Beetle's
is
here too. Blue Beetle. Shazam comes next after Black Adam
yeah, Shazam is
in March. I
still
think, of
technically
next year.
DCEU. Aquaman will be the last one. You could argue that because then Flash is there too, but then
Yeah.
you could argue that Blue Beetle could be its own universe. We don't know much
Well,
about
that's
it
what
just
I was
yet.
saying to Clay. Like you could say like this can exist and tell its own story on its own
until we start hearing
brought
some
into Prime too if you need.
until we start hearing some plot details coming out of it, we won't know where that sits.
100% fact.
But yeah, like I honestly though, I would like them just wipe the board clean and start over, and maybe our next topic could help with that.
Could help with that, Joe. That's listeners. That's what in the game what we call a transition, and we are transitioning.
I'm pretty good at that.
To our second main topic of the evening, which is David Zaslav. The rumor is that he's planning to sell. He's going to sell WB to Comcast in 2024. This came from a Hollywood Reporter article, and I'm going to get into this now. Straight from the article, I'm going to read a quote here that says, "All these issues paled next to the biggest question hovering over any top job at Warner Brothers Discovery. How long will this gig last? The company is grappling with that heavy debt load and skeptical investors." One former Zazoff exec, so keep in mind there, one former executive Zazoff, so it didn't work out that well. He's not exec anymore. Recently received a letter from a due diligence firm on behalf of an unspecified client asking for his evaluation of Zaslav's leadership style, strategic plans, and likelihood of success. That could suggest various possibilities: a potential acquirer digging around, a dissented shareholder sniffing for weakness, a hedge fund trying to place a bet. So much uncertainty. Given the company's daunting challenges, it has become accepted wisdom at the highest levels of the industry that another deal awaits in the wings for Warner Brothers Discovery. For reasons related to the complicated structure of that merger, no negotiations can happen until April of 2024. But at that point, many industry observers believe that Comcast Brian Roberts will make a long-awaited move, looking to combine NBC Universal and Warner Brothers Discovery. Do we think this could happen, Joe?
So I don't know all the facts as well as you and Clay. And really a lot of the guys on the GUA, because I don't pay attention to a lot of the behind the scenes stuff as much as you guys. For DC, I've got my own sticking to all news with A Walk to the Multiverse, which is its own basket of fun all by itself. So here, if they were going to sell it, why did he buy it? Like, was he specifically brought in to try and fix the problems that the previous regime like screwed everything up from, or was he actually here to try and turn everything around and saw how deep the water was and realized I've got to get myself out of this as quick as I can? Like, I don't know why he would go and buy this only to just turn around in 3 years and sell it,
Well, see, that's where I think it's an exit strategy, Joe, in my opinion.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's not a like if our plans fail, it's our exit strategy. Because AT&T just did that. AT&T wasn't having a successful go. It was costing too much money, and they cut bait. They only bought it in 2017 and sold it,
and then sold it 3 or 4 years later. Like,
yeah,
it's not a good look for Warner Brothers
company,
when you've already gone through 2 bosses in 2 years or in 6 years. Like, this is not.
Well, before that was a long lasting run.
Sure,
and then with
a trunk full of problems that they drug along with them.
Well, that
Like,
kind of hit when we hit the first AT&T in 2017, where they pushed out a movie to make bonuses that were involved in this merger back then. So it like is shady for one. You get people compromised when this kind of thing happens. Uh,
a lot.
because here Zaslav, if Zaslav sells WBD, he might get a big gigantic payout and be
And
done
it
with it.
sucks that it's always about the money. Like,
Yeah.
they don't care. I don't want to say they don't care about the fans, the people who the people who have been watching the stuff and are like us, who have enjoyed their material, not just DC, but just Warner Brothers in general, stuff that they have put out over the years. I enjoy it, but then I feel like jaded, or I feel not jaded. I feel shunned, I guess, because there's stuff I want them to put out that they're just like, no, we don't need to do that.
We don't know how much they listen to their fans. I also want to say, because Clay, when he's been out here too, talking about this, has said, like, why should I care as much? They're going to sell it again to somebody else. Like, why should I get invested now, knowing that they're going to sell it and that person will clear the board? I just want to say to listeners, for example, because people forget the state that Marvel was in. Marvel sold to Disney in 2009. I think it was 2009. Or I had this discussion with Brent a
Um,
couple days ago.
2009, maybe 2010. Like,
They put it
things.
no 2009. It was. I know because I had this discussion with Brent. We looked it up. So they already had Marvel before they sold to Disney. Already had two films and had their phase one already planned out with movies in various stages at that point.
Yeah,
Two were completed and already hit the big screens in Iron Man and Incredible Hulk, and Universal had distribution rights to Incredible Hulk,
yeah,
which there was a vast difference in box office from Iron Man 1 and Incredible Hulk, and people were a little worried, but it sold to Disney after that. So
okay,
in 2009 it sold to Disney. In 2010, the second Iron Man came out, and in 2011 Thor and Captain America came out. So it
yeah,
stands to reason that probably that Iron Man 2 was already finished principal photography when this 2009 deal came about, because
guaranteed.
it had to be filming, probably finished principal photography. And either I think Captain America and Thor were either filming or getting ready to film or done filming, one of the three,
I think they were
before
like beginning to film
beginning to film. So that
in
was already
2009.
all set up. That was already in plan. And
Yeah, because
Avengers was
they're the first.
2012,
Yeah, the
so they
first one
already
is
had that
Avengers,
idea.
right? Like, the
Yeah. So
first Marvel official Marvel release was the Avengers,
well, Disney,
right?
you mean
Disney
Disney?
release. Sorry,
Yeah,
Disney
yeah.
release.
You're right. You're right. So they had
Okay,
the other ones already set up with their financiers and all that. So like that's why I tell people that are saying, like, why should I care? Why should I get invested? Because this can be sold after a few. It work more if they're already successful and have a plan and are going towards a plan. I think people will pay more. An Amazon and Apple. I think that you will get more from those kind of companies if it's a successful fire. More than you look over here at this dumpster fire where 1 in every 10 movies is a success. Come on in and roll the dice. You may or may not lose all your money.
but that's the thing. Like you had stated earlier, Aquaman right now is the final
Yeah.
DC EU movie. That's coming out when 2024.
Yeah.
So, like, it's definitely one of those things where it seems like it correlates. Hey, our last DC EU, the last thing connected to Zack Snyder, is done here. Now, look, we've got a couple of these movies. We've got, Constantine 2, we got Joker 2, we got Blue Beetle. They're
The
their own.
Batman, the
Batman
Batman.
2. Like, we've got these other things that they're coming out, but they're separate from this over here. You don't have to worry about that. We're done with that now. Which, it sucks because I would love to see a third Aquaman movie. I would love to see a third Shazam. I mean, we haven't seen the other two, so maybe they're the hot trash. I don't know
We
yet.
also don't
But
know. We also don't know, Joe, because if those are successful, who's to say they wouldn't keep playing forward with
correct.
more from this?
But
So
I also think that even if they are successful, I think they need to wipe the board. I think they need to start over with everything.
I agree with you. That's probably the best path forward. I don't know if they will do that path or not, especially with terms the rumored in like appearance in Black Adam. might throw this question marks all
Maybe
back up.
who knows? I don't
So
know.
it Zaslav has his handfuls. It's quite a read. I would implore you guys to go check out the article from the Hollywood Reporter. I think by Kim Masters. Yes.
Sure.
Warner Brothers Discovery has bigger problems than its DC search.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? I big question marks there. Don't know what's going to happen. But like I said, if it's sold, it might not be the worst thing. Like I said, Clay, there still would have a plan, like the plan that Marvel had for their phase one. You could still have that and then be sold after that plan.
I still say it's
the person who bought you could continue forward with that plan to hire on that same person, like Kevin Feige and Marvel.
I still say the 10-year plan is to get rid of all the properties and in 10 years bring them back.
A very unsuccessful plan. Joe could be licensing.
I didn't say it was a good plan. I just said it's a plan.
You could be like licensing. We're going to license everything. But listeners, we're going to take our second ad break of the evening. We're an ad-supported network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Joe. We have a new episode. Stargirl, Season 3, Chapter 3, The Blackmail. So I got to ask before we get into this, have you been keeping up on Stargirl Season 3 for this Stargirl for this season, or did you have to jump in for one episode because you're reviewing the show?
No, I'm actually Stargirl was a show that I have fallen off of the CW TV shows. One, because they were just getting bonkers, like just so out there and crazy. Flash. And two, this one is one I watched from the get-go because it's only ever been 10 to 13 episodes.
Yeah.
Like I'm not I understand that Legends was 16 the last couple seasons. While that's good, the first 3 seasons still had 22 episodes. So I'm like were they short?
Legends? I think Legends has never had a full 22.
Okay. Regardless, it's more than 13. I've got too much to watch. So the CW shows just they went away. I can't watch them. So yes, I've been keeping up on Stargirl. And while I'm enjoying them at times, this episode wasn't really all that good.
I enjoyed some stuff from this episode. We'll get into this. Clay says DeLuca, but the previous topic, Clay said DeLuca is apparently the best person for the job to head to the studio because he once wanted to make an Iron Man movie. Clay, that is now a requirement because apparently I read that somewhere else a studio didn't want to make an Iron Man movie because they asked like how he's not going to be able to fly if he's made of iron. It makes no sense.
I'm sorry.
So
what?
yeah. I read that today that a studio gave up to let the rights to an Iron Man movie go back to Marvel because he thought like, how can you have Iron Man fly in a suit made of iron? So
bet they're kicking themselves in the ass.
That person doesn't have a job anymore.
Probably not.
Yeah, so
you cost that company billions upon billions of dollars.
That could be a requirement. I will agree that this is not the best of the episodes so far. There are some things that happen here that I want to discuss with you.
Yes, of course.
Mainly, Sylvester still on the fritz, we'll say.
You mean Starman being the villain? Yeah.
Did you get a chance to listen to DC Alliance from last week to hear my theory that Dragon King experimented on Sylvester?
I did, and I think you're onto something with that because we saw somebody at the end of episode 2 that definitely looked like it was a Dragon King's lair of sorts.
And we see somebody at the end of this episode as well.
Or is this one I'm thinking?
Maybe I'm thinking of this one. Is this one? Yes. Okay. After he goes to the ground, you can see somebody with monitors watching after.
Yeah, that's okay. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. So, I definitely I can see where you're coming from, and I think there's some merit there. but definitely Starman is not okay in the head.
No.
I got really while the fight scene with Starman and the Crocs
Sportsmaster and Tigress, yeah.
was amazing. The entire time I'm like, Sylvester, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Like you literally just went through the exact same thing last episode. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
And he just basically had an epiphany last episode, and then he's doing the exact same crap this episode.
Yep.
A little frustrating, Joe. I can jump on board with you there. Although, like I said, it was super cool, the jumping back and forth between aisles, the hand-to-hand combat because they had none of their weapons with them. I love how Sportsmaster
grabs the bat. Yep,
He's
that
like,
was
hello,
cool.
old friend, and goes to fight. It was back and forth, but Sylvester had more evil and kill in him than the Sportsmaster and Tigress, the old ISA members, which, like I said, makes me think that we're going back to Dragon King. I think he's not dead. I think that is the person that's looking through the monitors.
Which I'm trying to remember. How did he die? Didn't Cindy chop his head off?
I feel like that, or a big load of rocks fell. I can't remember now. It's been a while. I'm going to have to look that up after we finish this episode.
Sorry about that.
So Sydney has Gambler's laptop. She is the one that tells Sylvester about the file that says that the Gambler was blackmailing Sportsmaster and Tigress. We get their story too.
Of course, this is after Courtney had the meeting with the JSA saying we're not telling Sylvester, and Cindy purposely went and told him.
And her explanation is actually believable to me, especially with where she is in the group, where she wanted Sylvester's approval, and if he gave approval, the rest of the group would.
Do you think she's actually trying to turn over a new leaf?
I think so. I think that she just hasn't given up the laptop yet. I think that's a terrible decision, but I also think maybe she could even be controlled by Dragon King as well.
And she may not realize it, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a possibility. Okay, so Courtney doesn't do any action this episode, but does a lot of flirting around because Cameron, Icicle Jr., is very angry and jaggy for a little while. A teacher comes to talk to him, and he acts like an asshole. And Rick comes in. I love Rick is so cool here. And basically at the end, he makes him apologize. He totally alphas him here. Totally. He comes in, makes him apologize, and then tells him, yeah, if you do this again, you will be sorry.
But like, why? Like,
because
what's his
why? Because there's zero need. No, I will say this doesn't make any sense. This is gigantically.
He has no beef with Cameron.
No, this is gigantically hypocritical coming from.
Oh God,
Rick, because he's contrary all the time. But someone like me, if I walked by or I was waiting to see her next and I saw him, I would say something to Cameron about just being a dick for no reason because the teacher was just being nice. She was giving him a break about not doing assignment and going to let him, like, you know what? You don't have to do this. But I'm trying to be easy your marker on him. And he was just being contrary dick because of problems at home taking away at her. So I would have said, I like Rick saying, like, you know, like, what's the problem there, man? She's just trying to be nice.
That's fine. But why threaten him? Again,
because Rick is damaged, too.
Well, sure, he's damaged. But from what I can remember, he has never really had any interactions with Cameron.
No.
So why is he getting mad at Cameron?
Because the teacher,
for Cameron getting mad at the teacher.
That teachers went out of their way to help him too.
Sure.
So I think he has a special affinity.
He's got respect for that teacher in particular. But like, Rick has been an outsider for like he was an outsider in most of season 1. He's finally starting to turn his life around in season 2, and he immediately jumps to attacking again.
Yeah.
Like, and it's all because he can't. I get he's having trouble with the hourglass. He can't, do. It's not an hour anymore. Which
because he doesn't have the formula exact. So it's 46 minutes, 13 minutes, 5
1
minutes,
minute,
59 minutes.
Not long enough. But like, so he's having problems. So he's got to take his problems out on Cameron.
I don't think he's taking his problems out. Like I said, it's more so seeing someone bullying someone else and not letting it slide.
Okay.
That's just my interpretation.
Maybe that's the JSA working through him, like him, not finally standing up for the little guy. And okay, but I can allow it.
Get behind that.
Yeah, I get behind that.
And we get her. He turns over a new leaf after that, and it's nice to her. They go out for a walk, but they have a little awkward weirdness, and he takes off. She says it's okay. We also have his
Was it?
grandparents lurking around a lot
Yeah.
in this episode. They're paying a little bit extra attention to Sylvester too. They notice him at the store that he's at the start of the episode, and I'm like,
Well, when you build a town and you watch everybody come in, of course you're gonna know when some new guy comes in because they're super old. They built that town from scratch.
Oh man, Jesus! It's a little crazy there. Like I said, I really enjoyed the fight scene, and
I think it was great. It really was great.
Really weird where Pat stops him as a Stripe, and then Starman's like, "You're my sidekick. You're my sidekick. Know your place."
Leads to him being the villain of the season because he's reverting back to I'm the boss. You're gonna listen to me. And so when Pat steps in there, it's like, Pat, get out of the way. I gotta finish them off. And it's like, no, you stand down as he's protecting them. And it's
like,
just
how can you stand in front of me like that?
Yeah.
And Pat is 100% in the right. And
this also
is the
comes
second
because
episode. Sorry,
yeah.
This is the second episode in a row where he's had epiphany about his life.
Well, not only that, but it's also the second episode where he is confronted Pat about like, you're letting villains live next to us. Yes. Why?
And like I said, ultimately, I can't remember, the Sportsmaster and Tigress are clear. The Crocs, there you go, are cleared of any wrongdoing. They're okay. That's
they're back to square one. They've got no leads on who killed Gambler.
Yeah, I still don't know. And Sydney's on thin ice. If she does anything like that again, she'll be.
You know what we got to talk about is Sylvester going to the Crocs or Gambler's trailer and getting his ass handed to him.
At the very end. Yes, he goes there to investigate. He doesn't take the staff because
it's Courtney's time.
Courtney's in night, but Courtney's off having a date and doesn't need the staff, and that could have really helped him out in that point in time. But he gets his ass kicked.
Yes. But
flipped up over top. It seems like a red herring, Joe. It seems like a way to make you not expect him. It's kind of like the Jay Garrick in the Flash second season.
Yeah, fair. But here's my thought, because it definitely sounded like Grundy. And the last time Grundy saw Starman, they were enemies. So
it could be. It could very well be, but I don't think so. I think there's something far more sinister than that. But it could be. He's left unconscious, and we don't know. It's kind of seems like it's trying to rule him out, but I don't think. I think it might come back to him being the person.
I definitely think it's. I'm 98% sure that Starman is the villain. That's something. There's something wrong with him.
That's pretty confident. That's like Rock being Rock's trailer worldwide reception confident.
No, I didn't say 120%. I'm not that.
I thought he said 98%, and I'm just like, how do you know that? Where did you get that 98% watched? So, Joe, let's wrap up the little bit of DC news we have left before we get into our Smallville episode review. And the first bit of news coincides with this Stargirl show. And Stargirl's Blue Valley has been spotted on Titan's set. There's a rumor that Titans, Doom Patrol, and Stargirl are all going to cross over on Titans. The Stargirl actress said she was filming last week when Stargirl has wrapped for a while now. So there's a lot of, oh my God. What do you think of a potential crossover with Titans, Stargirl, and Doom Patrol?
I'm always happy for a crossover, as long as it makes sense.
Yeah.
And since these three are technically on 3 different Earths, you're gonna have to make sure it makes sense.
Same. I don't need crossover cameos like Crisis.
Well, and the article does say that potentially this could be those Earth variants.
It could be just on the Titans world. Yeah. So we've already seen those variants of Doom Patrol once before.
Correct. Exactly.
The backdoor pilot. So that's a good point there, Joe. I'm excited to see if that's a possibility because I wouldn't have had that on my bingo card going into this year.
Didn't have that on my 2022 bingo card.
So, Doom Patrol Season 4, the first plot synopsis apparently spoils an unexpected twist. So, if you don't want to be spoiled for Doom Patrol Pop, take 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And bail now. So, In the upcoming fourth season, the team unexpectedly travels to the future to find an unwelcome surprise. Faced with their imminent demise, the Doom Patrol must decide once and for all which is more important, their own happiness or the fate of the world. Ooh, that's not a good thing when the Doom Patrol has to think about the fate of the world over their own needs. So
I
who
mean,
knows how that's going to take
but
out.
they've done that 3 seasons already.
Have they, or some have they just fell on ass backwards sometimes?
Well, they
into
definitely
the
fell ass
fortune?
backwards and then saved the world. But like the entire, from what I can remember from season 3, they were at a point where they could save the world and be happy with themselves. Like they finally had reached a point where yes, they are all jacked up, all of them are, but they acknowledge that, and now they can move forward and be the heroes that what's his name?
Dr. Nas Calder.
Thank you,
Chief.
Calder. That Calder wanted them to be.
Yeah. Joe, that's a good point, and I'm excited to see this, Joe. I think this might be the final seasons for both Titans
I
and
believe
Doom
it
Patrol.
is.
So
Which, you know what? Look, 4 seasons. That's a great
four
run.
more than I ever thought we'd get. With Titans is more frustrating because there's a really good
Mm.
remnants of a show there, body of a show, and it's just not executed the way.
Yep.
But the actors, the suits, the stunts,
Everything looks
like that,
amazing.
it's just not written well. But
yeah, but Doom Patrol, I've loved Doom Patrol from the get go. It's been fun to watch.
I'm going back in on Titans, so
yeah,
I will be watching
too.
at least the first. I will be watching at least the first episode.
I've watched 3 seasons already.
Yeah, I'm
Look,
committed.
I'll
Joe.
watch it.
So
I don't wanna.
we have one final thing before we get into our Smallville episode, and that is Superman Lois. We got a new look at his suit, Joe. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to take a quick look at that for the people watching on YouTube. Okay, so what do you think of the new suit, Joe?
It looks good. I'll be
think it
honest,
looks
it looks good. Sadly, I am still on episode 2 of season 1.
Yeah.
So I am really far behind, but it looks good. I like it.
It looks fantastic. The S looks like it's changed a little bit, but it kind of looks like it's form fitting rather than muscly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm looking for. It looks great. I can't wait for that show to come back. That's such a great show. Besides the
I'll
finale,
watch it eventually,
where he's doing Superman Falcon Punch, and no explanation of how that's supposed to work. But the show has been fantastic. Besides that, so it's like a minor gripe. It's not it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
So Joe, we have our Smallville retro reviews. We are doing episode 10, Shimmer. What do you think about this episode, Joe? We have a crazy stalker lady. We have plant sunscreen lotion that makes you disappear, and we have Clark being the ultimate good guy.
So I remember watching this episode when it aired vaguely. I remember the villain of the week. I guess I remember
the first season
Jeff.
Especially.
Yeah, I remember a lot of the first season.
I taped a lot of episodes over other tapes.
Here.
Yeah.
Before I got the DVD and then I watched the DVD over and over again. So I remember Jeff, and if I remember correctly, he does come back. Yeah. I think there's like the episode where all of the antagonists escape whatever hospital they're in.
Yeah, I think it's the second season.
I think so. Second season sounds about right.
Yeah,
because they team up and then they try and get Clark again. But so I remember parts of it. Rewatching it, this show is a great show. I'm not going to say that a lot of the CGI holds up. This one does. Like the invisibility that they showed was actually pretty good. And it held up pretty well. I will say there was a few problems with it in the very beginning when Todd, I think his name was picking on the sister.
Amy, sorry.
Pick on Amy, and then Jeff steps up to say something to him, and he backs away. And then Todd goes into the locker room, and then we see things going on. He walks, like, we see Clark like have a hint of sickness.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, oh, there's something here. Okay, fine. Happens again real quick at the very end of the episode when he's saving Lex.
Yeah.
Do you know the 2 instances it doesn't happen?
No.
When he's in the room spray painting everything and they walk by, and then there was another part where he walks by Clark. Like there's 2 times when he walks by Clark and Clark doesn't get affected.
Lead paint, lead rooms. I'm going with lead.
Which
Solid lead.
Then has another problem, which is, why is that castle painted with lead paint? Does Lex not realize how bad that is for his health?
Joe, you're bringing the heat here. You're bringing the heat with this.
I tried. I did like the episode, though. It really was a good episode. I really, really enjoyed it.
Really enjoyed this episode as well. Like, I thought it was pretty cool. We got the crazy stalker of Lex making the shrine when she open up the closet. That was hilarious to me. But
the story
I thought Lex handled that pretty sensibly.
He did. The story he told about his watch and how his mom gave it to him before she died.
We got a lot of Lex opening up the Clark in this episode,
which was really cool. And then he finds the watch in Amy's shrine, and instead of like, hey, I'm not gonna go to the cops. I don't think you guys can be here anymore.
Yeah,
like, I'm sorry about that. He took it in a he really did great with it. Like, the reaction wasn't a quick, oh, that's you thief, you're creepy for trying to like me, I'm older than you, you're going to jail. No, he's like, no, your daughter needs help. Take her to the hospital. Let me know what it is. I will pay for everything. I am going to help you. You have been, and he even mentions it to his. Well, she
clearly was there for a long time, probably.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because his rival date, whatever the hell she was called, the Christy or whatever, I can't remember her name. Yeah. She is like, why is she here? Like, you need to get rid of them. And Lex is like, no, they've been a staple with the Luthers for a long time. I'm not getting rid of them. Like, he understood the importance of that family, of the Palmer family, and was like, just because they're a little weird doesn't automatically make them bad.
No, he's like, they've been with us for a long time. They kind of trust him. It was enjoyable. What do you think about the final fight there with Clark? Actually, before we get to the final fight, I want to ask you, what do you think about Clark's move of finding out Whitney's father was sick and telling Lana to go to Clark? Go to Whitney for comfort. What do you think about that? Because it was positioned for Clark to cheat.
Man,
for Lana to cheat and Clark to just capitalize on the opportunity.
So they have that moment where they are talking. I mean, they already had the moment earlier on when Whitney kind of not blew off Lana, but was like, look, I can't help you right now. I've got too much stuff going on. And so Clark swoops in, and
hangs out with her a lot in this episode, Joe. A lot.
They work on the blood drive together. They are getting close. Clark gets cock blocked by Aunt Nell.
And he also says, I'm afraid of needles, so I won't get a needle.
Which is nice, smart. But there was a moment. This is another like critique, and again, I nitpick because that's just who I am. Okay. He's like, hey, so have you ever seen the sunset from my loft? And she's like, yeah, hundreds of times. And you see his face. She's like, oh.
Drops. He's like,
but it's always different. And then it was really good line, really smooth. But he's like, all right, well, how about tomorrow? Okay. Key moment there. How about you come by tomorrow and see that? Apparently tomorrow is 2 days away, because the next day he's talking to Pete, and then he goes and sees Lex, and then next day he goes and sees Lex again, and then meets up with Lana.
Oh my God, you're right.
So I forgot. She was waiting in that barn for a whole day.
Or she waited until that actual time to show up, or she just kind of showed up. Time that was specified.
That, like, nitpicking, but no, him being Clark, like, he saw what was going on with Whitney. He told him straight up, like, you're not giving Lana enough credit for this information. Let her know. Talk to her. She will She might surprise you. And he did the right thing by going to Lana. And even though she could tell that there was something there, they both were feeling something. He's like, no, you got to go talk to Whitney. He is your boyfriend right now. And he even says, like, I hope if you were my girlfriend and Whitney, you were standing at Whitney's loft right now, that he would say the same thing. You need to go talk to him.
He also said in line, like, I don't want to say what I have to say here. It will upset you, and I don't want to do that. So I just want to keep us being friends. And it was a good move by Clark. And
it really was.
For a moment, I did enjoy the final part there where Jeff has Lex chained up.
Yep.
And Clark runs in, gets the mace to the face, and then we find him throwing him against the paint. We saw that one little space that didn't have paint. That was freaky.
That was like really cool. Like I said, it's one of the graphics. These graphics worked.
Yeah.
I will say this, something I liked on Talkville that Tom said. He's like, I'm pretty sure they have a plaque in the writer's room. Like, when in doubt, knock them out. Because Lex gets knocked out conveniently. When Clark throws Jeff into the scaffolding and the paint gets all over him, he gets knocked out. So
yeah, and then they'll forget that just happened. It's just classic old sitcom writing.
Like, I like it. It makes sense.
Just great. I did enjoy the episode. The finale, the final fight, kind of ended a little quicker than I would have hoped.
But I do remember that when the mace hits him in the face, that's a scene I remember.
You want to know why? Because I think they used it the following season for the credits.
I think you're right. And it was used. So yeah,
squares.
You do see it constantly. Yeah. But still, I remember that scene. So
it was fantastic.
They did this job.
This episode was really good with the Lex Stalker too. I would have liked to see more showdown between the final person and Clark, but when you realize it's just a high school kid that is just trying to protect the sister, not like rob anything or anything like that, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, but I mean, still, I enjoy the episode. It's not the best that that I have watched for DC Alliance. It's definitely
last
not the best.
episode, I think, Jitters, or 2 episodes ago, Jitters was just as good as the season premiere.
Okay.
So there are really good episodes to this, Joe. It's a really good one. Candyman is in it, and he got the Jitters. It's very good.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
I just
a little horror-y, which is really good. Joe, that's everything I think we have tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, Joe.
Of course.
Tell the listeners where they can find you before we get out of here this evening.
Of course. Thanks for letting me sub in for Clay. I know I'm not as pretty, but, it's fine.
You both got beards that's undistinguishable after that.
Well, you guys can find me on Twitter at _actually_. You can find my show, A Walk Through the Multiverse, on Twitter at WalkTheVerse. And you can find my other show, Comic Book Rundown, on Twitter at Comic Rundown, and on Instagram at Comic Book Rundown.
You can find me on Twitter at Travis_156. You can drop me a line and we can chat about DC anytime. I also host super discussions on GUA Podcast Network. Search that out if you want Rick and Morty content. We're reviewing that right now. We love that show. It's fantastic. Joe, thank you for joining me. Clay, you were missed tonight, and congratulations again. Listeners, we'll see you again next week.
Bye.